I'm Clark Lunberry. I'm a professor of English at the University of North Florida. I've been here for going on now 15 years. On the first floor of the library, I installed the piece which is titled Suspended Sentence. It was commissioned by Dean Shirley Hallblade, and it took lots of work and many months to design it, figure out the mechanics, and to get it up and in place. But in 2013, the piece was finally installed, and it remains to this day. I've been making art since I was about 14 years old, but generally just for my home and my environment. It came before being an English professor in many ways. But my background is in the visual arts, and my heart remains, I think, very much in the visual arts. And so many of the courses that I still teach have components of the visual arts in them. The work on the first floor, Suspended Sentence, the groups of the 103 books suspended on the wall, as well as what's now the 12-year project of Writing on Water, Writing in Air. Those very much have grown out of my academic work, my research, and my teaching, and that they do go together very effectively, and they inspire each other. In 2007, I began, in conjunction with a course, a creative writing course, a project that came to be known as Writing on Water, Writing on Air. And it was a visual poetry course that I was teaching, where with the students, we were exploring and experimenting on alternative surfaces upon which one could inscribe poetry. Half-jokingly, I said one day, what if we were to write a poem on water? And that got us started. This was way back in 2007, to think, yeah, well, what if we were to do that? How would you do it? And that began a long process of just figuring out the mechanics and the materials of how you would place words on water so that they would float. But it began very tentatively and just kind of an experiment, and half expecting it probably not to work. And then it did work. And not only did it work, but it looked really pretty cool. It was inspired in many ways by the library, because I was inspired by the fourth floor landing. When you're on the fourth floor and you're walking down the stairway, you immediately have this remarkable vantage onto the pond down below. And I frequently spend time up on the fourth floor. That's where all the literature books are. And I would come down and I'd see this expanse of water down below. And it was at that point that I was imagining what a beautiful surface to experiment upon, and to see if we could do this. And so it worked. And at that time, it was Dean Shirley Hallblade, who was here back in 2007. And she was very enthusiastic. I think actually I didn't even get permission. I just did it. And then she came in, but she loved it. And then she said, well, do another one. Do another one. So the next year I did another one, and it got a little bigger. They got more words, started even adjusting, changing the words. So anyway, this is how it all started. Shirley Hallblade was just fantastic, always really encouraging, and asking me to do more of these. She said, Clark, you're doing all of these projects that are site-specific and temporary, and that's by design. They're here one day and gone the next. But she said, how about you do something permanent, something that would be long, maybe not permanent, but long-lasting? And I thought that would be fantastic. I liked that idea a lot. And so Shirley and I walked around the library one day, and she gave me a variety of spaces. And then she showed me what I thought was like the best space in the library, which is that right at the base of the stairway. It's one of the most prominent locations, and it was just this big expanse of brick. And I thought, oh, I want that. And she goes, oh yeah, sure, you can have that. I said, okay. And so I originally had the idea of doing a piece that would be, again, site-specific or site-determined, being in the library. And so a project having to do with books, again, with language again. And this is the continuity between what I do with my other projects. And so I collected many, many books from this library, Shamlin's, books of my own, often collecting them based on, say, the look of the book, right? I especially liked sort of older books with interesting spines. And so the piece downstairs that you'll see, I drilled one summer a 2-inch hole right into the center of 103 books. And then I slid all 103 of those books onto this galvanized pipe. And then I coated it all in about 10 coats of shellac. So it's just like encased, all of these different books. And I was quite conscious of the titles, thinking of it as a kind of inadvertent or accidental poetry, that the titles themselves could be read alongside each other. And so I was putting certain titles next to each other. And I also was then moving them so that it was, you'll see it goes up and down, like almost like a wave. And then it was on the pipe. In some ways that was the easy part, because this turned out to be about 300 pounds. And it's very long, I don't know, 12 feet long, something like that. And then we've got to get it on the wall, and it's really heavy, and potentially kill somebody if it fell on you. And I think it was at this point that Shirley was wondering what she'd gotten herself into by being so supportive of my project. It was an ordeal. It took weeks and weeks and weeks to figure it out. And it was way beyond my expertise as an English professor to manage something on this scale. Anyway, it worked. And so in 2013, after having worked on this for 9 months probably, getting it all put together, drilling, painting, getting the pipes, driving all around Jacksonville, finding the right materials, it went up. And it worked. It's there to this day, and it'll be there. Unlike my other pieces, which are up for a week or two, this piece will outlive me. It will outlive the library. That piece is going nowhere. It is now joined with the structure of the library itself.